Warning, this podcast discusses conspiracy theories and critiques the pharmaceutical industry. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and consult professionals before making health decisions. We also invest in cryptocurrency, which you have to be an absolute fucking retard to buy in. Make sure you're consulting a financial expert for more information on this.
Ooh, wee. In the cosmic dance, we feel the vibe. Energy flows, it's a universal drive. Spirits igniting like stars in the night.
Can you
Cosmic and cosmo,
fuck
we're
a ghost?
catching the light. Let's dive deeper into the unknown. It's different. Feel the groove of the show. Unraveling secrets. Come and let it flow. Vibration.
Ooh, wee. Welcome to It's Different. Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to being able to breathe and being alive. Because if you're watching this, you are, and that's a gift. And let's be in the present moment. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's talk about some weird stuff. Let's get them out here. Who we got tonight? We got Brad. Who's that other guy? Cashman Hater and Cosmo. Right? I know these guys. How y'all living tonight? What's going on? Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to It's Different on all the platforms, hosted by at Higher Values 420. How we living tonight, folks?
Man, it's another beautiful day, just like you said. I don't know. We were just talking about it right off fucking the show here, right off camera. Like, it's just negative right now. And I don't know if that's because Mercury's in retrograde still or whatever the fuck's going on, but my chakras aren't aligned. Like maybe it's been 3 days since I beat off and like things are just totally whack right now, but I don't know.
You already took it there, Brad.
Yep. It's a
Beating off
bumpy.
is like-
It's bumpy, but I feel like this is a good time, it's a good time for rebirth, recreation, getting reinvigorated, getting the juices flowing again. And I think maybe that's just where we're all at. We're all just full of anxiety, pumped up, ready to get things flowing again. I don't know. That's just my perspective.
I feel that. It feels like there's just a lot of resistance on social media, like lots of separation and I don't know. I think like negative. But this is fun though. We get to come here and talk about weird stuff and expose people to things they probably haven't thought about. And it feels good, right?
Hopefully we don't expose them to too much.
Well,
That's up to you, Brad.
it's
Just
all,
the one I'm doing.
It's all
Yeah.
about consent. Cash,
Consent.
tonight, dude. How you doing?
Well, I almost didn't show up tonight. I was sleeping.
Almost
Woke
nobody.
up just in time.
I woke up and it was 9:46 or some shit. I'm like, oh damn. Well,
Oh no.
Well,
better get in there and get going.
Yeah, hacker man.
well, you had the perfect nap. You woke up just in time, right?
Now he's powered up.
I guess
Ready to go back to bed.
But
Shit.
Oh, Brad had that co-host.
I hope he loaded in on the co-host because
I'm gonna get
bouncing
signed
at
in.
11.
I'm gonna get on there.
I'm
in a
gonna
minute.
get signed in. Like 10 minutes before we break, right?
Yeah.
Of course, he couldn't do it ahead of time to make sure fucking shit worked.
Don't rush it.
No.
Style.
So,
He
if
was awake,
y'all
though.
get fucked at 11 o'clock coming back from break, that shit is totally on Brad.
I would
Right.
He
have
still had 14 minutes to come in this motherfucker and log in with his other shit. Saying.
There was a password issue. Had to get that figured out. Never got it figured out. But fortunately, one account is still signed in. I approved Cashman to get in. When I tried to get on my other computer, he approved me to get in. So like, it's fine. We're doing the thing.
It's gonna be all right.
So wait, nobody knows the fucking password still? Because I got no clue.
Bravo.
I got no idea.
Hopefully it's safe out somewhere where Bill Gates can get it.
I bet an investigator got it. You got it.
Not a
He's the
chance.
responsible one. No, you didn't got it.
No, it
It's-
definitely got changed, and I have a feeling that none of us have a clue what the fuck a password is.
Has anybody got the email? You got the recovery email? Somebody's got it, right?
Now I think my other email might be connected to that, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's
I
like a
haven't done
proxy
deep dive
recovery
this
email.
yet.
Recovery. I don't
See,
know if you're
I
good, Dad.
planned ahead at one point and was like, this is gonna get fucked up, and we're gonna need a way in this motherfucker. There's too many people in this email. And so I'm
Alright.
pretty sure I attached another email to it, which I have access to. But
Now we see him behind the curtains. It's fragile back there. What's going on?
Well, you know, it starts with two potentially
Much
bipolar
THC?
people with ADD and who smoke way too much marijuana.
potential about me, bub. You nailed that shit right on the head.
It is. It's it. It's reality.
I mean, it's fun to watch. I'll watch this all day.
Kind of brings me peace.
I mean, I like to think, that I'm entertaining, but, I also know I'm fucking retarded, too, so there's that.
It's part of the entertaining.
Both
Yeah,
can be true.
To
right?
some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than one thing's true.
Yeah.
Right. We're all
There you
just
go,
a
Brad.
decagon of sides swirling around looking like a circle. Something like that. I don't know. Turo. All right. I'm gonna say this though, with all the negativity, social media stuff, right? I'm just gonna say two things. I'll say two things. One, I've said it many times, the only place to control the narrative. They want people stressed, they want people depressed, they want people making bad choices, they want people getting sick, they want all of this stuff.
True.
We don't watch TV anymore. Old people watch TV. We're on social media. Like I don't even know the last time. I don't even have cable. And when I did, I don't even know the last time I watched it. Right? If I got some free time and I'm sitting down and baby girl's like playing on her own or whatever, like I go to my phone. I don't go to a TV show. It's not like when I grew up. So that's what
Hey, I watch sports. I don't know about you. I watch sports still. I don't watch anything on TV except for sports. That national championship the other day, did y'all watch Florida come back? Like, that was the closest game I had seen in a long time. They only won by like the last fucking 50 seconds. They got the lead finally, and they barely that was a great win. But during that time, they sold me a lot of alcohol. They sold me a lot of ED medication. They sold me a lot of false promises and high hopes on the advertisements. I could also parlay a bunch of prop bets and win $5 million and lose my house. So,
Nice.
good deal.
Cosmo, what was that way to control the masses? Debt, alcohol, in gambling, specifically sports gambling. I think that was the
There's definitely got to be pussy involved in there somewhere.
in women, probably.
Power and pleasure. Control those two things. You control, especially men, I think. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's a weird thing because like the women's basketball tournament, I got my daughter. We're trying to watch a lot of basketball. We watched the women's NCAA tournament, and the commercials are staggeringly different. They are total left,
so?
right pivot.
Right.
It's just the dynamic shift because obviously for the men's tournament, they're marketing to men. The women, they don't really know who they're marketing to. They're just putting out more of a wholesome package, but like you're still getting your DraftKings, your FanDuel, stuff like that. A little bit of alcohol, but like they're putting like Dove, fucking moisturizer and lip balm, and like they're like, there's probably some girls watching, but like let's make sure we hammer home the gambling and the alcohol too. But
Interesting. Yeah. Keep that in there.
Really weird, yeah.
Almost like people target an audience. Like that's a whole job just to target an audience for advertising. It's crazy to see that, right? Like who would do that?
Nobody who wants to control anything, just people who are trying to optimize their sales.
Right.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Unbiased.
But I was going to say the second part.
I didn't say pharmaceutical ads. Are you guys proud of me?
No. You did.
Good job, Brad.
You'll see a fuck ton of those. Don't worry.
Once the show.
legalize those finally?
What's that?
Are they going to outlaw them in certain states or something?
I think so. I think that's
Well,
happening.
RFK, the more he does some shit with big pharma, the more that they pull out some shit about how he likes to watch people have sex with him, or he likes to. I don't know the full scoop. I don't know, but it's getting weird. The
Wait,
more
you're
he
telling
digs
me
in,
he's the reason the hotel's got that chair in the corner?
that's my understanding. Is he could be a cuck, low key.
Okay.
That fucking cock.
He's like in his what 60s. So like, that's a whole thing. I think, right? I don't fucking know how that works. That's weird, bro.
How about this? I just jacked up my output.
I think it sounds good.
Okay, maybe that's a little better. I turned on the output, leaving the Tascam monitor going to you guys.
Well, it's not as bad as mine was in like November.
Because my levels and sound on my side are good.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not on your side, that's the main thing I can control is that output.
Just turn us up.
It ain't too bad. I can hear you, but it's, if you were right here, it'd probably be a lot better.
It's still low. Even with that, it's still low.
Yeah, it's like the same. That's weird, even if you're closer.
Well, yeah, this microphone's not made to do that. It's not. I'm not
Gotcha.
supposed to be right up on it.
No,
Okay.
you can.
We'll see this shit out. But what I was gonna say is like you can't you gotta gauge that kind of stuff by your real world interactions. The strangers you meet, the conversations that seem like they happen up perchance, but they're really not perchance. Gauge your sense of positive and negative reality by that more than what you see on social media. Like I've been having some wild random conversations with people, and they've been very good stuff. Like it's been very good. It's been positive, or it's been like friendship building, or it's been getting to know people, or asking questions about legitimate things.
She's being so harsh on you right now.
Yeah, like I said,
all right, let's stop this. Let's reset everything up.
This is getting juicy.
I mean, I'm almost capping. I'm almost peaking on my side. I can. Should I live stream my microphone output here?
Yeah, let's figure out the settings right now.
I'm almost.
Sorry.
I'm peaking. I can hear it in my headset. I can turn my volume down.
Brad's like, as long as it's anybody but me, I don't care.
All right, so let me ask you this: did my volume just go way down?
No. You're right in my head now.
Okay, so what was happening likely is I had too much signal going out and it was peaking and it was suppressing itself.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's probably what happened. So if I sound good now, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yep.
Had a little bit of this happening.
I like a little bit of that.
Too much chip.
Yeah. I went out with that couple Friday night. My daughter and my wife went on like a mommy-daughter triple date to the movies things, and her friends, the gay guys that came to Crawfish Boil, that one of them boils my crawfish mainly for me. They went out for one of their couple friends' birthdays. Went out to dinner, went to a bar, then went to like a little dive gay bar for a while. Stayed out with them till like midnight. It was nice. We had a fun night. Nice. It was a good time. It's a good time. Not one guy hit on me. When I go to the gay bars, I'm always like, maybe I'll get a free beer. And it doesn't.
Nothing, huh?
It doesn't happen. I think they
did
know.
that like crush the ego? Or
it used to. I'm used to it now, obviously. But I was like younger. I would, I'd even flirt a little bit just see if maybe they'd offer.
Yeah. Attention's attention, you know what I mean? Like, who cares?
Just take it.
So is it a compliment if a gay guy hits on you?
I think so.
It's top tier compliment in my opinion, because they're very selective individuals, and if they're going to go out of their way, and they know that you're straight, they already do. So if they're going to go out of their way to interact with you in that manner, flirt with you, and then even, go to the point of like breaking that social barrier, it takes a lot of personal strength on their end to be like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not going to act on it, but you're very attractive. And honestly, that's the best wingman in the fucking world. If you can have a gay guy like that in your corner, he will hook you up. He will hype you up. He will help you out in every situation.
They always got the baddest women around them too.
Right. Now, low key, you might want to watch out because, like, You're gonna get drunk. He's gonna put you to bed. Like,
But I mean, he helped you out a lot too. So I mean, you kind of owe him, right?
Is
It's
that,
Right.
is that karma? Is that karma, Brad?
like
Is that the
you
consequence
scratch
of your
my
actions?
back, 56 times. I might scratch yours once.
my boy got me laid off on Saturday night. It's Sunday. He can't play video games. Like maybe I'm supposed to, suck a dick. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know how it works.
And like if he's just a giver, and like, you know what I mean, like, and he's just constantly into giving, and like, now I'm gonna get my dick sucked. Like, I'm not gonna like turn this man's dream down. You know what I'm saying? Does that make me gay, or does that make me a good friend?
I'm not gonna turn his dream down.
Both can be true, I suppose.
That's a little egoic right there, Brad. Like I'm not gonna kill his dream of sucking my dick.
Listen, this top tier dick right here, dog. Like, if you want to suck it, I can't.
Boy said he top flight. Huh?
Not the top tier pecker.
I ain't no $30 bottle of whiskey. I'm a $150 bottle of whiskey made every 12 years. I'm Brad. Oh goodness. It sounded like Grok got in here and Aura got in here and wasn't even here.
Right. It's harsh.
My Atlanta. All right. So we said we're going to talk about this pyramid thing. And we also got some other things that I think tie in that we want to talk about tonight. So I kind of want to get to that. I pulled up some videos. Her name is Johanna James. I found her 5 years ago. Someone's going to go look at her old videos and tell me I'm right or wrong. I don't know. I'm horrible with time. Everything's happening now anyway. Anyway, I found her a long time ago. I fact checked her a whole bunch. She pulled me into Atlantis being possibly real before I got into a whole lot of deeper research. And I like her. I think she's a great source. She does a lot of research. She gets in contact with professionals. She gets in contact with people on the fringe, and she makes her own decisions and opinions, and reports facts. And she lets you know when what's what, right? So she did the big video. I want to share like the first, literally, I think 55 seconds. It kind of summarizes everything really well, and then she has like a reaction to it we may or may not watch, but then she has a short about the second scan, which will make sense probably after this first one. So we're going to see if this will work, because it did not work last week for me. I'm looking for this page. Share. Holy macaroni, did it work?
Yeah, boy.
All right, so we're going to watch this first minute.
You might have heard about the Cofre project, SAR pyramid scanning results. A team of scientists from Italy have been using satellite scans, and they claim that they have evidence of underground structures and tunnel networks that are underneath the middle pyramid on the Giza plateau, including 5 never before found chambers inside the pyramid at ground level that replicate exactly the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, 8 hollow cylindrical structures.
All right, so let's just real quick, let's pause that for a second, because I think that's kind of fascinating. I didn't know that part going into this, that the chamber replicates the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. I think that's really worthwhile, and I have a story about that chamber itself that we'll get into later.
As above, so below.
We're kind of going that road.
Descending down into the earth for over 400 meters. And not only that, these 4 hollow cylindrical structures connect to 2 square 80 meter by 80 meter chambers. And underneath that, they say that there is 2 kilometers of interconnecting tunnels under the Giza plateau that need more investigation.
Okay.
The abstract.
So, what were the spirals wrapping around the pillars? Are those the tunnels?
Those are the tunnels.
Okay.
There's a lot of speculation. So let's do this. Let's do this second video, because this gives us some credence. Because the main thing was, what if it's not real? What if the radar's a scam or a hoax? What if the technology is not reliable? So she actually talked to the guy. I don't know names. I'd have to look it up. Grassi was the guy that leaked the interview, the behind the scene interviews before it went on like BBC or whatever. And she interviewed him, and she had talked to him. She's like, well, why don't y'all scan something that we know what it looks like? And they did that. They did that, right? To see if there's any truth behind it. So let's share this other screen I got. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna science it. It is this one. Oh my goodness, I'm getting good. I'm getting good.
You've had all that time at home. Boy.
I've got an update on the SAR Pyramid Giza scanning project. Last week, I got to interview Trevor Grassi, he's a YouTuber, and he was the one that first posted the abstract of the Italian conference. If you're following the story, you know what that is. I got to interview him on my YouTube for about 45 minutes. Interestingly, when we were talking about all the scans and how we could verify the scans and what the work that we'd need to do next, Trevor suggested that the best way to do that would be for them to scan an already established archaeological site like the Osiris shaft on the Giza plateau. And if they could show that the scans could accurately map the Osiris shaft, then that's like an indication that they could accurately map other things too. Well, apparently that's happened. And I'm going to show you. So according to an announcement from the original team who scanned the Khafre pyramid, they said they have scanned the Giza plateau with the Osiris shaft, and they can show not only the accurate levels of the Osiris shaft, but also the fact that it continues down even further, and there appears to be other levels and other things going on at deeper levels to the Osiris shaft. So that's a big claim. It's a big claim. But they also said that what they're in the process of doing right now is handing over the data and the software to an independent team so that they can verify all of these massive claims. So that's going to be really interesting, because if a completely independent team can replicate their results, then we're starting to get to science. Very exciting. Just quickly, if you didn't know what the Osiris shaft is, it is a well-documented, really deep 3-level underground structure that is found just off the causeway in Giza, opposite very near to the Sphinx, and it was between the Sphinx and the Khafre pyramid. So interesting. It's it was found in the 90s, I believe. Or I think people knew it was there before then, but it kind of was announced to the world in the 90s. I've been down there myself. It is incredibly spooky. It is incredibly deep, and it's evidence that there are shafts and chambers and things that are underneath the Giza plateau that we know of. So the claims that there could be more, in my eyes, I think it's more likely that there's going to be shafts and tunnels that we don't know about than that there's nothing. That makes sense. Anyway, super cool.
So I think that's really interesting. I've watched enough of the Y files to know if someone's trying to fuck with people, they're not going to hand it over to independent researchers. Because once they do that, it kills the hoax, it kills the money, it kills everything. So I think that's big. I also think that doing that double verification like that was another sign of confidence, right? That even if they're wrong, they really believe that they're right. Right? We want to go through all the steps we can to prove that what we're seeing is legitimate. And kind of like she says, the 3D model thing might not be like crazy accurate. She's not giving a whole lot of credence to that. I think that was in another video that I watched, but the scans do show kind of what is ish there. And we can't read those, right? Like we went to see an ultrasound today. Like I can't pick out where all the things are that they're reading on that, but there's people that are trained and she can see all that stuff immediately, right? There's people that are trained to see scans like that and they know what they're looking at. So got to give that a little bit, right? Because we're not professionals with that. So I'll say a little bit and then I'll shut up and see what other people think. But I think it's a really interesting find. I think the timing is fascinating, just for me and my personal journey and my research into factual things and the mythological things, into the psychic medium channeling world. I think everything is kind of running to a certain headway that we're heading to, and this type of information is going to come out more and more. They've been talking about the halls of Amenti, right? Like, oh, maybe it's the halls of Amenti. Well, that's plausible, but I think that's under the foot of the Sphinx is more where Thoth has said that it is. But there's also that's reliable, unreliable information at the same time too. You got to have a little bit of a leap of faith, right? You got to go with your discernment and intuition. But I think it's really interesting to know that there's a lot going down there, because the big talk about pyramids is that they are power grids, power structures of some kind. We know the alignments we've talked about it. The Giza Plateau, the Giza pyramids line up with the Orion's Belt. The three in China line up with Orion's Belt. The three in Mexico, the Mayan ones, I think it is, line up with Orion's Belt. And all together across the world, those line up with the doot with Orion's Belt. So there's talk that there's some kind of frequency generator. There's been a lot of theories in the past that water is involved running under there, which would make a whole lot of sense for these to be 2,000 something feet. We're talking about almost half of a mile long. That's a really long ways, plus the actual cubic chamber under those.
Mm-hmm.
And if those little tunnels are running water, or if they used to be running some kind of copper or something, there's something to that.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I'll say, I follow someone who I do respect a lot on the Twitters. I don't know if I should say his name or not, but I've watched him do interviews, and I've talked with him in DMs, and we've known each other probably 2 years. And he lives there. He's a gringo like me, I think, and he's definitely not Egyptian. And he moved there. He is very deeply spiritually guided. I don't want to put any labels that he doesn't want on him, because I don't know those. But he talks a lot about the energy. He talks a lot about channeling and speaking with the other side in these pyramids. And he's shared a lot of very personal experiences in them publicly, right? That's why I'll say it now. And he made a post after this had come out. One of the big accounts was talking about, well, they need to turn the power generators back on, give us all that Tesla free energy. And he was like, well, bro, like, they're running now. It's a much lesser degree than when things were in shape and being taken care of and like properly turned on, but they're still generating more than you think. Like just kind of, he didn't, those aren't his words. I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to, you know, but I think the sentiment's there, right? There's been speculation that the pyramids, one guy was a channel saying how the pyramids were like balancing the earth in certain ways. And I thought that was crazy.
In a certain context that I was hoping you were going to go there, not to cut you off, but there's, like we talked about in one of our first episodes, the moon not being
Yeah.
real.
Satellite.
I'm a firm believer that the moon is kind of stuck in orbit here by a electromagnetic force that is not necessarily of the Earth's core. I think that it's being, accelerated by the pyramid system or structure, or that's what was originally keeping it intact. I don't know if that's what is keeping it where it is now, or if that's what that ain't me, but I think that that is potentially, where the moon stuck in orbit from, was because we had that extra ability, um, or just the ancient technology. Whether or not they used it as a legitimate, free power source, or not, that's highly science fiction. We're getting into that realm, but even just talking about keeping the moon in orbit kind of sounds crazy. But honestly, when it comes to like the electromagnetic force field, we do know that the pyramids have a lot of power inside of that. But just a strong pivot, that token that homie's over there talking about. Look, we gotta be up front. There's only one token in my bag that's still up front, still pulling good, and that's this MMM. We're gonna have the developer on tomorrow night. Have him stop by for 15 minutes. I'd like to get to chat with him, get to know him, um, maybe get to know his further plans for the development of the token. He created that on the RevShare platform. As I understand it, with MMM, you can check the verified check mark. The dev, he burnt the liquidity, and it's a rewards token, typical Ponzi scheme. I'll be upfront. It is what it is. You buy into it, you get rewards from everybody else who buys and sells. Um, it's one of those, but right now it's like the only motherfucker who hasn't rugged his shit. Like he's so upfront, but like honestly, it seems like he's just out there trying to just bring back something in the market that is just stable, you can depend on, but nobody can predict who's gonna cheat and who's gonna pump and who's gonna dump and who's gonna run. But so far, this one, it's just continuing to stay on a positive trend, and I think this is a good one. I can't wait to get to actually sit down, hear him 10-15 minutes, see what he's got to say about the project and his plans, and of course get to know him tomorrow. If you guys are around tomorrow night, make sure you check that out. We should have a lot of fun. But back on these pyramids though, man, I'm telling you, when it comes to the moon, that motherfucker Cosmo said it. It's a satellite that's being stuck here in orbit by these pyramids, and I think the gray aliens, I think they have something to do with its current existence, not its existence why it was here. I think that was the Anunnaki, all that stuff.
Mhm.
I think the Greys are fucking with that ancient technology, and they're just now catching up to it, and they're sharing that with us. Me and Cosmo, we got into a sidebar earlier in the DMs on the cloning stuff. We'll pivot to that later, but
We'll
But
preview.
wait a second. Pull on the thread a little bit that they're sharing information with us. Is there any kind of credibility to that?
The timing is interesting, especially I think about all the solar activity we've been hearing about, and if you know anything about like the Van Allen belt or the radiation that surrounds our planet, whatever, it's there to protect us from all those cosmic rays. And so it's interesting that we're starting to hear about the pyramids coming online or more about it, so that they can probably give it more attention, possibly, or turn it on completely in public. Um,
Because our
because
is weakening.
yeah,
Before,
and well, there's supposed to be like a wipeout event from the sun, essentially. It's something my wife has been following very deeply, and
yes,
it's a real thing. Like there's movement, like people moving, especially to Colorado Springs. Funny enough, this is actually going to be a good place if that does happen, because essentially what would happen if the solar event occurs is the axis of the Earth would just tilt by 45 degrees or something like that. Like everything just gets flipped upside down, and so that's like a wipeout event, which I think we're gonna maybe talk about the Yuga, or the Great Year, like
we'll talk about some of that.
2030.
That would be from the Adam and Eve book that the CIA banned a long time ago. You can get it now, I believe, but I mean, we're dead. It was the CIA researched the pole flip like that. Edward Casey predicted it way back when, and they actually researched the possibilities, which there are, and they think maybe that's what has happened in the past. There's no proof, but I mean, you're talking 11,000-mile-an-hour winds. You're talking death everywhere. That would be one of those 1% survive, and we start over. And by the time society would reach a point to know that they have a history again, there would be no evidence. Like there really wouldn't be much evidence, even of like the oil refineries where I live. Like most of that stuff it's all steel, right? But you got a couple thousand years, and then when you're digging, it's just rot, and you might find some pieces, and then wonder what they are.
It's wild.
No contact.
Glass in the Sahara Desert that can only be made from the heat from a nuclear bomb. Right? We can't explain that. I mean, the Vedics have, the Hinduism has, they have the stories, but science disagrees, archaeology disagrees. Not science, but archaeology disagrees. Cash, what do you think?
I'll be honest, I don't know fuck about shit y'all are talking about.
Gosh, just like I want to go to sleep.
I'm just here smoking weed tonight, y'all.
I like it. Red-blooded American right there.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of a fair assessment. If just being honest, like, first off, nobody really knows about the pyramids. Even the scholars, they will admit, they have to admit that it's literally debated fact. That's pretty much what history is. It's a set of lies, that everybody's agreed upon. That's the joke. But like it literally is. It's a theory. It's the theory that's agreed upon. And I know he's just over there being, kind of himself, cash man. But like at the same time, like it's hard to fucking know what the fuck we're talking about, because we're all just spitting our own fucking thought process on what it could be, because what we've been taught is just so fucking cookie cutter bullshit that if that is real, it's the most fucking boring possibility that could have ever existed. Just shut
Okay,
up.
but what does Dale think?
What does Dale think?
Well, we'll have to find out. Give me a second here. We'll ask him.
So, do you know the origin story of the history of the pyramids, textbook wise? How they got started? Some Europeans on horseback found it. I think they were Englishmen. I don't know, but they were like discovered the pyramids in the sand and the Sphinx head above the sand and all of that, and they were like, "Oh, these must be tombs." And all of history since then has just been us believing it's tombs or trying to discredit these like 4 explorers.
Give him some shrooms.
Yeah. And he should be getting those shrooms in like 2 days. That's on me. Economy's rough.
Oh
It
wait,
took
you
me a while to
actually
send 'em
sent
out.
that shit?
I did send them out to you and a T Prince on the Wednesday show.
Listen,
But
I'm off Saturday, so you know what I'm doing Friday night, dog.
there you go.
Play the fucking trip my
But
mama's on.
the shipping, man, like
Oh
they
my God.
told me overnight shipping was going to be $18 for a fucking chocolate bar. Just
All
the
right, you
weight of a
didn't
chocolate.
overnight at why?
Fuck you. And that was like
You got
they didn't
money.
even
Bitch, you
guarantee
got
the overnight.
$20. Fuck your eggs.
Nah, they didn't even guarantee overnight. They said it could be there in 2 to 3 days.
It could be.
So I said,
It's not very
okay.
confident.
So then what's the 2-3 day charge? And she goes, oh, that's going to be $12. But honestly, that's probably only going to be there in 4 or 5 days. So then what's the 5-day
What are you
one?
paying
She's
for?
like, that one's $6. What's the one for I don't give a shit? No, $6 the cheapest. Well, they're gonna get there whenever it fucking get there. Then that's shit.
That's what we gonna do.
Hell no, I ain't paying $20 to ship out one, because I was shipping out
Dog,
the
and
other
my
one to.
post office is the worst too. Like I had a package the other day. It said, "Oh, couldn't be delivered," right? So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to go pick it up. No big deal." Bro, why'd I go out the front porch the next fucking day and some bitch is laying there? Like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? So it'll show up when it shows up, I guess. Might be
Yeah.
next week for all I fucking know.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
What if we find the halls of Amenti before 2030? The Akashic records on the earth, the history of everything, the knowledge of everything. What if that gets public before 2030? That's almost more scary to me than exciting.
I don't know if it will go
Yeah, I thought
public.
about that. I don't know if it's necessarily
It should.
allowed. Well, it talks about in the Emerald Tablets about you needing to know the way to be able to see that stuff. I don't necessarily think it's maybe physical in the sense that we think of. It could be more energetic,
I agree.
which I think that is the safety key. I think they're gonna try and convince us that it's a physical place, but I think it's more you need to tap into spirit and get beyond the veil. Probably what your friend knows how to do very well, that he's been so close to those pyramids. And I think, kind of side note, I think those structures are actually meant for attunement as well. Like if you can be in those, like the King's Chamber, they're meant to attune you to that frequency of that structure. And if you can attune to it, then you get the keys. But with that, there's a lot of responsibility, like Spider-Man shit, right?
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. So there's a transaction there.
That's where I think the tomb stuff came in later. Like I think personally, because just the history to line it up, give everybody a good picture. Woolly mammoths were still walking around when allegedly the pyramids were built by slaves. Allegedly, this is history that we're being taught in school.
History has said they weren't slaves. Looking at the housing quarters, they were
right. They were indentured servants who worked very hard for very little. Nevertheless, but I don't know if I can believe that the people on the planet then, the hunters and gatherers, basically the early foundation settlers, were building those pyramids. I don't buy that. I do buy that they were gifted this technology and these resources and were taught how to take care of it and understand it.
Yes.
Now, through that time frame, because the telephone game, I think that information got watered down, got
Yep.
lost in translation
You can
slowly.
see that. You can see that in the pyramids, to where the ancient monolithic structures, like the 100 ton chunks of granite and stuff, then started to whittle down to these little pieces that just they fell apart. So at some point, the knowledge was lost, because you have these
Yeah.
insane structures, and then you could see that humans tried to maintain it, and their building knowledge just wasn't there anymore. So something happened.
That same girl, she filmed a tour she did in Egypt. She had a translator, she had an archaeological expert, she had a hieroglyphics expert. She had like a whole team, right? And they were showing her how the technology got worse by the generation, right? In the dynastic era, in the pre-dynastic era, was so much advanced. She was searching for the hieroglyphic story of Thoth coming from Atlantis, and they said it didn't exist, and they found it. They found the hieroglyphs. It's in the video, and it was the one thing the translator would not translate. He told her, "I'm not allowed to translate this to you. I can tell you the story that is out there. You know, I can recall what's already been written and what already is put out there." He said, "But I cannot translate those hieroglyphics for you." And he didn't help him find it. Like, she stumbled upon it, kind of like intuitively, and through her research, she knew where to go, the site to go. I'm not going to say a site because I don't remember. I'd have to find the video again. I can share it with you later. But when they get there, he's like, "Nah, I can't tell you that." It's kind of wild to me.
That is wild.
But
Well, in the tablets, it says that the way that they were built essentially was, he had a rod or a tool that overcame the earth force, is I think how it's described. So essentially, I take that as overcoming gravity just through vibration. And if you can see, like, I've seen videos on Twitter of these dudes putting crazy subwoofers in their cars, and then they'll amp it up, and then you can see the metal bend, like the frame of the car bend, not just the door, but the entire frame bends because of the vibration. So if you just amp that up a bit, like, look at these pyramid structures. They're monolithic, and they're piezoelectric, meaning if there's compression on the rock, it creates an electrical charge.
Just
If
like
you tap that,
Penisy
right,
electric. What the fuck did you just say?
exactly,
It
piezio.
starts throbbing, bro, and like shit just starts pumping.
You make fun, dude, but it's literally the same thing. Your dick is a pyramid, just like that, dude. It's the whoop kundalini. Anyways, those structures then tapping into water and the ley lines of the earth, and then you have all of these grids, all these structures across the earth. You have a grid system. It's like the internet. It's just a different version of that, like Tesla's technology, free energy, harmonious vibrations, or harmful, which might be an agenda of all this coming to light now, is to engineer it in a way that's not good for us, like really bad 5G, like million XG, just frying us and causing turbo cancer.
I mean,
not that cancer cubed.
that stuff with the 5G. I just want to take a note over here. The bees, they hate it. It disrupts their migratory patterns, their feeding, their whole life basically. They can't do their little fucking happy dance when they get their honey and stuff, when they have all the cell phone signals around them. So I'm not saying, like, don't participate in life, because like that's not possible. But if you can avoid setting up Wi-Fi boosters in
You can
rural
definitely not
areas, and just
participate in life if you really want to. Like, don't get it twisted, motherfucker. You can really not participate if you don't want to. So, like, don't take that out of anybody's prerogative. If they want to do that shit, like, if you want to go ahead and do that, do that.
Live in an 8-foot hole in the ground, right? And pop up, get some berries, go back in there.
Natural selection.
I'm all about the Amish lifestyle. I'm not going to partake, but I see these people like every day where I live, and I'm low key jealous. Like, if I was born into that life, I would have no reason to leave. But
Man, I went to
wasn't.
Walmart and them motherfuckers was parked out the gas station with their horse and buggy and sign that says puppies for sale.
Man,
Trying to
Puppy
make some money,
milling
dude.
ass motherfuckers, dog.
Trying to make some
that's
money.
That's some different type of Amish right
Hey,
there.
Mr. Sunshine, live, laugh, and toaster baths, or whatever the fuck they said.
Toaster bass.
It's for Mr. Sunshine. I like it. So
Not all the opinions are backed by the higher values brand on this show.
Man, you guys don't even know the password.
I swear to God, I'm gonna make a shirt that says "Live, laugh, and toaster baths."
they probably sell.
Hey,
It would.
we're gonna find out.
So
in this in this
Our-
economy. That's good tech.
hour
Hey, I've
two,
said it online. Nobody can steal my shit now. I've spoken into an existence. You can't take my idea, bitch.
hour two, I know we're going to get into a lot of genetic modification, some Yuga cycles, 2030, some of that stuff. I want to get into this a little bit while we got time. Cosmo, I know Cash has not heard of. I'm going to say I doubt Brad has heard of, but maybe. Have you heard of Robert Edward Grant? He has a
Sounds
show on
familiar.
Gaia, so we're getting a little French here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
Okay.
think so.
So
Now I heard who?
Robert
Oh, shit,
Edward
it's
Grant.
stale.
Huh.
You know
Okay.
that dude? Yeah.
So look, let me get this out here, Dale. He took a team and they went into the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. And this is because, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. They went in there, they were looking at stuff, they're trying to find anomalies or where they couldn't. And he got this like intuitive push, if I'm remembering right. He did this interview on Next Level Soul. That's where he broke the news at. And he started researching the Lord's Supper painting by Da Vinci, right? Because Da Vinci was massively esoteric, right? Da Vinci was like a wizard. He was an alchemist. So
I heard he was gay too.
he probably was, right? Like just live
Love
love,
is
laugh,
love, yeah.
sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was different times back then.
as he's zooming in on the walls in the painting, he starts to see anomalies. And they get to a point where they can like zoom in and clarify the resolution, you know, like whatever that is. I don't know. I'm not a pixel guy.
Yeah.
Right, like the movie. Remember that sketch. Anyway, what he sees is on the walls they start to see the Vedic astrology signs. They start to see the fucking Scorpio. They see the bull. They see Aries, Taurus, Virgo. They see all of these, and they're throughout the background of the painting, and they're in order. And I don't remember exactly what tied into it because I watched this interview probably a year ago. They went back to the King's Chamber, and what do they notice slightly engraved on the walls? The zodiac signs in the same positions that Da Vinci's painting has them in the same order, in the same configurations, in the same style, everything like identical
Dang.
to Da Vinci's painting.
That's wild.
It's hard.
He got tapped in.
He got tapped in. It's hard to not say Da Vinci knew, right? And Da Vinci was in the inner circles of these secret societies, or back then it would have been the mystery schools. I'm not saying he was like a Mason or something, but he was definitely deep in the mystery schools, right? And
He had some knowledge.
They originated there. You go to the Sphinx, you go to the pyramids. That's where you learn. That's where the Greeks went.
Mm.
And I think it's fascinating that they're seeing the same type of structure in this Khafre pyramid, that they're seeing all this shit going down, because that kind of ties to me, that kind of is symbolic almost, right? That like that's tying together this message that Da Vinci's trying to give us. Why else would they be in there? Why is there a cycle of these astrological signs in his painting that match the King's Chamber, which is not a tomb, obviously, which may be information, maybe a power generator, maybe anchoring, we don't know. But I think it's telling us to pay attention to the signs. It's telling us to pay attention to the times. And it's saying that there is a connection between these pyramids and what's really going on. Dale, I'm sorry. I had to get all that out. I wanted to get it out. I think it's fascinating. I think it's worth people knowing.
Oh, I was just having a good old time over here trying to. My hair just it
He's
ain't
just
laying
looking
like
at
it used
himself.
to.
Mine
It
too.
don't lay like it used to. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
Now, there's been some comments out there before that it's a wig, and first off, I don't appreciate that. That's heresy. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Heresy? Dale. You silly.
Dale,
Oh, you caught that, didn't you?
That's
I
heresy.
was laughing at you. I'm sorry.
No, I can understand. It's the good looks. I appreciate that. This is not a wig, like I said.
Cashman hater.
But we get into these here pyramids, and I can't help but always just think, we we're so white, we're so stupid, and there's pyramids all around the world, and it ain't just these ones in Egypt. There's some in China. I heard they got some in Siberia and Russia, and we got some in Alaska, and they're just
What about Antarctica?
Antarctica?
well, in the Antarctica.
Is that
I ain't
real?
never been there.
Okay.
I've seen pictures, and I would suggest it looks like they have some stuff there.
But have you really seen pictures? Because we've seen pictures of the moon
Mhm.
landing too.
Oh shit.
That's true. I also seen pictures. I guess there's a Stonehenge at the bottom of Lake Michigan. Now, this one, that's correct. I
They got
saw
some
this
shit like Pontchartrain too. We got some pyramids now.
on the internet there. I done seen we got a Stonehenge like structure in the bottom of Lake Michigan. And I was just talking to the old lady the other day. When we look at the glacier formations of the lakes, that's what they say that's how they were formed. Okay, that's all good and dandy, but don't they kind of look like a giant mine when you really get to thinking about it? Wouldn't it be weird if they was just mining all the copper out of here, these aliens, and then sending it over somewhere else to build these pyramids? That'd be crazy. But that's things I think about because you know I ain't got nothing else to do except for read all this history everybody be talking about and go on to QAnon forums and try to decipher the code so I can know what President Trump doing next. And I don't like this Elon Musk, folks. I really don't. I think he knows something about these pyramids that we don't. And I saw him on the Joe Rogan the other day. And can you guys hear me?
Rogan?
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Elon Musk was on the Joe Rogan, and Joe asked him if Elon was an alien, and asked if aliens existed. And Elon Musk said if they were here, they're really good at hiding. And I got to tell you right now, folks, that's exactly what I expect an alien.
You know what? Elon Musk low-key looks like a fucking alien. So
He does. Now, if you ever watched the show Alien Resident, I started falling in love with this show. It's a good little show.
It's a good show, Dale.
But they talk about the Greys, the alien Greys, having hybrid species and how they all look like models and, they're all perfect form. And I ain't gonna say Elon Musk look like a model. He looked like a dweeb. You know what I'm saying? Can we still say the word dweeb? But
well, I definitely don't think this is the way to get the X algo boosted in our favor. But fuck it, let's ride.
I've been
well,
less than last year. That's a fact.
You gotta stop putting them microchips in people's heads if you want to get my trust. And we was
Oh no,
talking
but
about
I could go for a cum button.
the Mexicans. That'd be okay. But all those Mexican kids that went missing, we still ain't found them. And at some point we gotta wonder, is Elon Musk doing something with them kids? Or was they all just being taken by Biden and being diddled up the butt? You know what I'm saying?
Which Biden? We've had like 16 of them since we fucking were first
and
brought
that get
into
us
light.
into cloning, which I think we're going to talk about in the second hour. Because I think the music industry, if you don't play ball, they'll take your ass out to the woodshed and they'll put a clone right in place of you, boy. They'll
Listen,
do that
I
in a
just
heartbeat.
seen a video on X where it said if you went to the Diddy party, you got fucked.
Talking about that Terrence Howard.
Yeah, that one. He said if you showed up at the Diddy party, you got your butthole pushed in.
We don't know about that Terrence Howard.
I have a hard time admitting this, but I got to watching that Nick Cannon Wild and Out TV show program, and that some bitch, he rugged me. He rugged me so fucking good.
I was gonna say, was that before or after you got rugged?
It was after, but it's been on the TV during daytime, and sometimes I get bored and I have it on the background, just for noise. And I said, Wild Out season 1. I said, we got to check this out, and it had Kanye West on there, right? And one of the other gentlemen was in a rap battle with Kanye West, and he said to his face, he said, "I bet your butthole hurt from all the times you was with Jay-Z." And I said, "Oh, he knew.
Yeah, that was a
God
long
damn
time
it, he
ago, right?
knew." And
It slipped
I don't
out.
know about Kanye with Jay-Z, but we started to hear a little bit about Jay-Z and Beyonce with the Diddy's, but that went silent, didn't it? And now I'm wondering what's happening with all the Jay-Z, Beyonce, the Jennifer Lopez's, and
They got
everybody
quiet.
that. Yes, they did. And,
Did-
and boy, I tell you what, we need to pull back the curtain on every single one of them butt fuckers.
That
I'm
got
tired of it.
once it got real. It's crazy how that disappeared. Dale, did you see the
Right?
video when P Diddy walked up to Kanye's kids?
No, I did not catch that one. What
His
did he do
two
to his
girls.
children?
He was on like a hill. They were like DJing, and his two girls were like on a lower level on the hill.
Yeah.
Like maybe 10 feet from him. And Diddy walks
Mm.
up, and once he gets close, he likes like you squat down, put your hands on your knees, talk to a kid. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh
Like
yeah.
things on his knees, gets a little lower so he can talk to him. And Kanye comes straight down that hill and points, like get the fuck. No,
Oof.
Mm.
shakes his head no, and Diddy walks away.
Oh,
And this
Kanye
was
don't
old.
play that diddle my kids. He said we got Justin Bieber for that, boy. Get
But
out of here.
it's
Go
kind of
on,
crazy
get.
how that left the news completely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Those
a
fake
lot of stuff that
evidence
came
leaks
up.
came out, which that was
Yeah.
bullshit. I looked at it when it was easy to look at. I looked
Hey,
at
look,
work one night.
Justin Bieber gonna become the next Britney Spears saga with a fucking handler and all that shit
Mm-hmm.
because that motherfucker low key can't take care of himself.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. He
Yeah.
gonna be
So
all right though.
I
Poor guy.
watched an hour and a half long interview from this older fella. He talked about being initiated as a satanic warlock, as a 33 Freemason, as an esoteric wizard. Not in that order. The Mason came last. The esoteric was first, then the satanist.
Hmm.
And then went to the Mormon church because a druid in Arkansas told him that's the safe place to go, and that the Mormons are very deeply esoteric on their inner church. And he shares all this stuff. And some of it checks with like research I've done in the past because I've been in this world for 7-8 years, and some of it I don't know anything about. But he did say that the high elite class is mainly all from the Freemason branch, and that they believe that you can like a vampire vampirically. Can I say vampirically? Vampirically suck the energy from children through sexual intercourse and become immortal. I'm not saying that's a real thing. I don't think that's a real thing. I really don't. I think that's absurd. I don't think even in the weirdest magical satanic demon type realms that is a real thing for like the elixir of life. But if someone believes it and they're told that initiated at a high level, maybe that's why. Because remember a couple of weeks ago, I was like, why is that even a thing? Right? I was like, I don't get it. I don't get there's got to be something beyond the sick-minded part for it to be this thing. Like, how many kids have disappeared from Disney? How many from Mexico? Like, how many disappear all the time and never come back? And it's not just like it's weird, right? And they got all the Middle East things with the boys, those videos. I ain't gonna get into that because I don't know, but I've seen them.
We'll
And
connect that with the adrenochrome because
right? That I could believe
that's
more than the vampiric energy.
well. Think about the child. I mean, this is horrible to try and kind of break apart, but if you think about what's happening to the child, completely innocent, they're in so much fear and pain, and who knows? They probably think they're going to die, right? And so think of the chemistry in their body. That's all super elevated, and as far as I understand it, that's what adrenochrome is. Like that's what you
Yeah.
harvest, and that's the state that they're in. I'm assuming. And so in that way, yes, it is the elixir of life, but it's like the inverted version. It's like the dark version of stealing somebody's essence. You see that in the Dark Crystal. If you guys have seen that, that's what they do in the Dark Crystal. Monsters Inc. What are they doing? They're scaring the shit out of children, and then they're harvesting that energy that powers their whole society.
But they learn at the end of the movie.
Laughter.
20,
Laughter is more powerful.
2031. I wonder if there's a 2030. What is the call the woman yells out all the time?
2319.
It is 2319. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
year.
That's
ask
when
him, I
they
know.
come in contact with a human. 2319.
Yeah.
We got a 2319. We got a 2319. And they go in and fucking pop that little shower curtain up and shave that motherfucker because he had a sock on his back. I know.
How do you guys pull that number out of your ass?
They
You
do
guys
it.
never have facts. You got that number?
Listen. That's one of the ones that I know by heart. Okay, and Mike Wazowski, that motherfucker, he got me laughing every time.
Listen, that's my fucking childhood, dog. I can tell you
Yeah.
just about anything you want to know about Monsters Inc. Don't play with me.
It's
Now
a good
that
one.
Monsters University, that was garbage.
Yeah.
I didn't like that
Stand
shit.
Up Ride
Yeah.
at Disney with Michael Kowski, and he's literally live riffing off of the crowd is hilarious. I'm going to say it's really good.
Well, hey, let's get to break. So hopefully Cashman can do the break stuff because I ain't got no fucking clue how to work this shit. And hopefully, hope to God he bring us back because I ain't got no idea how to do that. And then he can hop off after like 5 minutes after we all come back, and then we'll try our best to figure this shit out. Let's go to break so he can help us out, folks.
Bye, maybe.
Go on.
Toasting to the highs with every sweet drink. Hot knives that alchemists watch the world blink. Beverages so fine they lift you above. With THC, honey's a potion of love. Craze up your cup, let the good times flow. Hot knives got the secret, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Roll it up, light it right, let's ignite this night. DOS filters got the goods, everything feels so right. From carbon to the paper, every puff, pure bliss. With the roller in hand, I just can't resist. Ease your mind, elevate your vibe. DOS filter, the choice you make. For the Pyramind. Shedding doubts like a knife with Reno and Cashman. We elevate our life.
Oh my! Oh, I was muted. I was muted for safety in case y'all heard me say something or tinkling.
Smart.
You know, I was gonna find a cool riff of music for me to put on, and I didn't in time. So we're
I'm
here.
not gonna lie, I was low key gonna let y'all sweat it out for a second just so I could sit here and watch Brad try and scramble to pull everybody back up and shit. But
Hey, I'll be honest. Not a clue.
He was worried.
you know, because we got this backstage view, so I saw him dancing and everything. I'm like, man, I need to just let him fucking scramble to try and get this shit to pop back up.
Yes, sir.
It's astonishing to know that at one point in my life, I actually obtained a degree in computer science, and
You
don't ask
couldn't
me for
fucking
shit.
tell.
Don't ask me for shit.
There was a
Dude.
time that I could use Visual Basic application language in Excel and literally code in what I wanted to happen on the spreadsheet. There was a time in life I could do that, and now I'm like a computer idiot. It's crazy
Well,
how
you
you
know,
lose it so
It's
fast.
weird.
the MySpace
We're-
era was just like that was for us.
Man, you
was-
used to go in there and delete shit out the code to fucking take stuff off your background and shit. Man, that was the day.
Yeah.
Everybody was a mini coder back then.
This is just HTML.
Honestly, though, I'm upset that we switched off that model of customization for social media. I think that gave that little bit of individuality, and it forced and inspired people, because like if you were one of those people who didn't have your shit coded, first off, you were a loser because you didn't have a friend who could do it, or you were just a dumbass. And that's just how we looked at you, like, man, you're just a fucking normal sheep. Get the fuck out. You can't even figure out how to code your own fucking MySpace. Get out of here, you fucking bitch. That's what it was. That was life back then. Good times.
Hey, my favorite was hiding my fucking music player on my profile so people had to listen to my fucking song when you came to my page. Bitch, either turn your fucking headphones down or you
Yeah.
listening to my shit, dog, 'cause you can't mute it.
Thanks.
Those
I
are the
like
days. Those are the days.
It would be sweet to have plugins all over X. Like as soon as somebody comes to my page and then get, monetized based off the amount of time people stay on my page for what I programmed into there and fucking allow them to do on my fucking feed and shit. Like, I think that would really incentivize creativity and fucking, learning and, growth and whatever.
They
Who am
don't
I?
care about that. They don't care
No.
about creativity. They don't care about creators. They don't care about any of that. They care about advertisements making money.
And
Pump the
perpetuate
account.
the opinion that is being parroted by everybody else, and the only thing that we want everybody to say.
I'm out of here, guys. Later.
Have a good night, man.
Till tomorrow.
See you, man.
Go fix something tomorrow.
Man, I mean, he just got that new job, 4 a.m. We were talking about that before we did the show. Like, whew, I've been retired for about 6 years now. When the VA retired me with my PTSD, and it's been a little over 5 years since I've even worked a part-time job where I was just like, let me just go do something. And I quickly got reminded why I don't do things.
You ever miss
I
it though? You wish you had some or no?
So that's exact. I do the gardening stuff in the summertime. Really focusing on benefiting the pollinators and things like that. But it also just gives me fulfillment. You have to have something in life. If you don't, you're wasting space, right? So having that outlet to create, get to just be one with nature, get plugged in, connected, if you will, and
That's huge.
shape my future is I guess, yeah, that's priority for me. This year we're embarking on apple trees and pumpkins, and I hope that can be like a long standing thing where we can bring back, like a non fucking super costly pumpkin patch in the fall, and apple picking. That
Yeah.
was my jam as a kid, is going apple picking, getting the apple cider, having those fucking fresh lame ass cinnamon donuts. But that family time, just doing shit. And I want to inspire that for fucking motherfuckers in 40 years, because I feel like if it's not going to be me, who is it? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to fucking usher in that new era? And I'm sure somebody else will, but there's got to be more than one fucking person. We all got to be involved in the environment and understanding where we come from and our habitat and surroundings and shit. I don't know. To me, that's alpha male, and people can disagree with that, but it ain't
I like
shooting
that.
fuckers all day. It's getting an understanding of the life that you're in, and how do you better yourself and the others around you. That's peak. And whatever. That's my opinion.
I like it.
I like it, man. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we think of alpha male as being so like aggressive or like mega Chad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and really when it comes down to it, like all the really impactful males in my life have been the ones that are just responsible. They do what they say they're gonna do, and they care. They care more about just themselves. It's like I think it's that moving beyond the self that really represents the king archetype, I would say, or the alpha
Yeah.
man.
Getting the understanding of what leadership really is. It's you don't have to just be an asshole and fucking force other people to do things for you. What
Yeah,
can you do for other people? Type deal.
Real change.
that's right.
But as for me, I'm trying to learn all about these clones right now because
Yeah.
I don't know how I got stuck down this rabbit hole. Obviously, they cloned the dire wolf the other day, which piqued my interest. Um, Last week on the Wednesday show, kind of wish Cashman was still here, but whatever. Um, he has it pinned on his page with his child who has autism and is a nonverbal, but is able to speak, in multiple different languages. And we were talking to him last week about it, and he says his kid would get on the YouTube and just start watching random shows, in different languages, all that stuff, and can just pick it up, just boom, boom, boom. And
Wow.
the government research that goes into this, that got me down a rabbit hole because apparently, like in the young five, you know, kids get screened very early, and there was a hearing test in the 90s, and I guess that this hearing test was actually a CIA psyop to figure out which kids had this extra ability or sixth sense, um, to either what do you want to call it? Either like the autism telepathic ability, sixth sense ability to learn different languages fucking quicker than other people. I don't know the full science behind it, but they're more connected to the environment in other ways in which we're not,
Good.
is I guess the better way to put it. But the research that's been dumped into this, I was in the army. I don't know nothing. The only thing I do know is if the government is continuing to dump money into something, there's a reason why. They're researching something, considerably. They're really taking effort into it. Otherwise, from what I know about the military, they're they're not known for cutting spending, but they will not just sit there and continue to waste money for no fucking reason. In fact, they will spend the least amount of money as possible on government contracts to get the job done. So if nothing's getting done, they're going to get that contract gone. But they continue to feed the research study for telepathic children, and that makes me really just wonder, like, when it comes to clones, if you can have a telepathic kid, why would you not clone that motherfucker? Why would you not make an entire army of fucking kids who can tap into other people's minds, do the like we talked about one of the other episodes where the CIA has their fucking mind reading program of remote viewers and stuff like that. Why would you not continuously make clones of those people who are highly skilled, highly operative, and can take those cues and continue that on? I guess that's what piqued my interest of the cloning is just what if they're doing this over here, what are they doing with this over here? Um,
But I mean, you wouldn't even need to clone them, though. You would just need to genetically edit.
right,
It's senses. It's all. If you talk
right,
to anyone that has those abilities, that honestly have those abilities, they will tell you these are abilities or gifts that every single human has. And the
and
ancient Egyptians taught the Kemet, they're your senses. You have more than
mhm.
five fucking senses, and
Way more.
it's
Yeah.
just tuning into them.
They're talking about a seventh sense in these kids, and I'm like,
More than that.
what is a
Yeah.
seventh sense? Like, what are you talking about? But when I was doing the my research, and it started with the Joe Rogan episode on the telepathic kids, and then it went further. But they were talking about how these kids, they're they're not able to be fully connected to their bodies in the same way that we are, which is why we have a hard time understanding them. and
Right.
understanding how they go about their day. But on that same, I guess, thought process, like what we know about deaf people and blind people, they're able to utilize, not everybody, but typically if they're born with it, they tune into the other senses a lot more keenly. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's the same thing that we're witnessing here. But
Mhm.
when it comes to the cloning stuff, like you said, though, Cosmic, it's not necessarily just the cloning, um, because like that's I don't know if I want to say it's the predecessor. I tried to do as much research as I could before just getting into the rabbit hole, but it seems like they coincide. The need and the want for genetic modification coincides with the same timeline as cloning.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if they're two separate goals entirely, or if they were trying to just combat this one target thing, and they ended up getting this dual-sided, like, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this with these embryos. But like that's literally like how the surrogacies and stuff like that are able to happen. So it's not science fiction what we're talking about, it's real science. In the DMs earlier, Cosmo was talking about how most of our cows that we eat are all from the same embryo chain. And the more I did research into that, the more I this fucking Bill Gates. I've been telling you about this Bill Gates.
Damn Bill Gates.
he,
Goddamn
he
Bill
in that
Gates.
shit. He in that
Right.
shit big, boys. He cloning, and I refuse to eat Walmart fucking meat. It's been a long time. It started a long time ago with just chickens, because the steroids that are in there, you can see the striping in them, and
Mhm.
Walmart is just, they only carry steroid meat. I swear to God, their chicken is just all striped and gross, and even their eggs, they taste like they've been fucking genetically modified. I call them my Bill Gates eggs. Um, but if you ever had an organic, brown egg, you know the difference
Yep.
in taste.
Taste,
Yeah.
sight, everything, smell.
And same with the ground beef at Walmart. Like it's just so plastic. That's the only way to fucking. It feels plastic, slimy,
Like
and if
taco.
you,
Mhm.
yeah, but if you go to a butcher shop where they're selling, local farm raised, grass fed cow, like you're gonna get that real meaty texture in your hand when you're squishing that beef, and it's not gonna feel like you're rubbing plastic together, like
Oh,
literally.
it's a very noticeable difference.
Well, tying it back to like the Monster Inc. stuff with the adrenochrome, like the state of the animal when it's killed and its life condition affects the meat. That's why Wagyu beef is so amazing and so expensive, because they treat that beef like it's a fucking princess, like massages and all kinds of stuff. So I think there is science to that. But something I want to touch on that you said, Brad, was just the disconnection for people with autism inside. My wife and I were recently just talking about that too, because I think she probably saw the same things, um, and then it makes me think about the research or the link that they're finding between vaccines and autism, and it could very much be in that time frame too. Because I remember when I was a kid, like we got so heavily vaccinated, and I think it's gone up since then, which is crazy. But in the 90s, I think that's kind of when it maybe started to rise, and now it's just out of control. But the experience that I heard my wife describe this young man with autism is that complete disconnection from your body inside. Like he's all there, 100%. It's just his body doesn't communicate with his mind, and so I think in that state you rely on those other senses, and that becomes your way of communication.
Sure.
Because there's some
So
wild things with some of those stories. Yeah.
I just want to touch on, not to spark any debate, but just my own personal opinion. I don't know definitively if that will prove or disprove that vaccines cause autism.
Sure.
Um, there is certainly enough um, science that can be proven to suggest that there is a variety of side effects that do come from every individual vaccine. and choosing which vaccine is and is not right for you is incredibly important and should be something that you research with your own body in mind. But with all that being said, like the ramp up of the amount of vaccinations, it was one of the things that we talked about when I was going through school for medical assisting and getting my X-ray stuff. They were just starting to acknowledge the severity of multi-dosing. Um,
Mm.
and it was recommended to everybody that I was even in school with by the teachers there, that or the professors, if you will. you know if you have a choice, have them do the staggered program for the vaccines. There's no real rush to get all these in and have 6 jabs and a fucking doctor's visit. Chill out. Um, now again, I don't know if they cause autism, but there is a lot of various side effects from heart defects, kidneys, liver, just immune system failure. 1% of everybody's going to have a different reaction. So take that in consideration. Go slow with them if you're on you're debating some of these vaccines. I would just say at least go slow with them. But I think one of the more untalked about is the processed foods that have ramped up over the last 30-40 years.
I think
The
that's where the
microplastics. I think there's a lot of evidence that suggests that, and that's not taken away from the vaccine conversation. I think we should still have that. But on the other side of the amount of just overall, like we just talked about with the genetically modified food, when it comes to our fruits, vegetables, our literal produce for, dairy, eggs. We just talked about the chickens with steroids. Um, I would imagine that what we're eating, like we've talked about in the past, like that's the good medicine for you. If you're not taking care of your body, you're gonna have adverse effects. I recently heard that they're working on getting the fluoride out of the water. I don't know if that has anything to do with autism, but I know
candidates.
that has a lot to do with being fucking stupid.
Yep.
So get that shit out of there, boy.
Calcifies
look.
your pineal gland, which is the sense that they're probably using more.
Yeah. Let me
Nah,
throw this
but keep your
because I'm
teeth
about to
white.
have kid number 2.
Do they?
Prevent
So
tooth decay.
I'm about to do a lot of experimenting with nature versus nurture. Right? Was my first kid, did these things develop because it was the kid, or was it things that we did? Right? Because you don't know that with one kid. But I'm going to say this, talking about food. Baby girl came up. Her first foods were okay. So wife couldn't produce milk. She was losing weight. We had to go formula. Okay, like that wasn't a choice. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a kid.
No harm, no
So we
foul.
went formula.
Same for us.
But when
Too.
foods came in, we did the baby-led weaning program. Her first foods were avocado, and then it was rice.
Good food.
And it's all about texture and introducing flavors, but it's really about texture. To me, it was about flavors. And so my wife started making these like meatballs when we started getting to the point we're going to introduce some meat. And she made this recipe with real ginger that was minced up with bell peppers, with onions. All this stuff's minced up and cooked
Hell
into
yeah.
these meatballs. So let's fast forward. When my daughter goes to pre-K 3 at Valentine's Day, a healthy snack was one of those pouches, the food pouches, like the baby food pouches. Okay, my daughter had never had processed food processed at that level. Right? She's had candy a little bit. My daughter had a freaking Happy Meal. Okay, like we're not
Sure.
extremists, but we ate a lot of real foods. I do not like cans. I do not like heavily processed bags or boxes. So she asked me, "Hey, can I eat this?" I said, "Yeah." She almost threw up. Like not only did she spit it out, she gagged and almost threw up because it tasted that gross to her. You asked this child. We ate out a few nights. We had some really busy days, and we had some days at the house. Time got away from us at 7 o'clock. We haven't cooked, so we ate out like probably 3 nights in a row. That fourth day, my daughter comes to me and she's like, "Daddy, uh, I don't want to eat a restaurant. I don't want to pick up food. We need to cook tonight." I said, "Okay, what do you want?" "I want the carrots that you make in the oven. I want broccoli and cauliflower." Okay,
Yeah.
5-year-old. Her favorite foods. If you ask her
Wow.
favorite foods, it's avocado, it's cauliflower and broccoli, It's baked carrots. She goes to the garden and picks fresh kale leaves out of the garden and just eats the kale raw. That's why I use zero fertilizer, zero pesticides. Everything's super natural. You literally can go out there and eat it. A 2.5-year-old that can chew can eat this stuff clean. We just rinse dirt off. Carrots. She eats out of the garden, and it fascinates me because the neighboring kids, some of them grew up on the baby jars, on the pouches, on those like puff balls. Those were snacks, and they eat any of this stuff, and it's gross. They don't eat the vegetables. All they eat is chicken nuggets and French fries. And I'm not hating on any of these families, right? Like everyone, look, I am a non-judgment person, bro. Like you live your life, I live mine. We're cool. But all I'm saying is, my daughter came up on real foods and vegetables and fruits. I spend the money on berries. I hear the neighbors, oh, it costs so much to buy these berries, and they eat them in a day. And I'm like, well, that's because your kid eats them once every month when you buy them, right? My kid was raised on this stuff, and she doesn't just binge eat it. She eats it every day for breakfast and lunch. Her lunch at school, I pack 3 different fruits and then like a main thing.
Hey, put them in the freezer. You know what I mean? Like,
but the taste buds, cravings, it's for real food. I think it has to do with how you introduce them, and I think that the plan is to introduce these kids on all of this heavily processed foods because that's what they crave. And what is food? Sugar. Yes, my 5-year-old. What is food? It's information, Daddy. It's information for ourselves. She's known this since she was 3 years old. Didn't know what it meant, but she could say it. Right? And if you're telling me that's not on by design, I will not believe that that's not by design.
No, for sure.
Vaccines play in, pharmaceuticals play in, all of this plays in, but I think food's the biggest key.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're saying is exactly what we experienced. So my first was born, I think, 6 weeks premature, and he had to be in the NICU. And so as soon as he was born, he was separate from us. And he was in the NICU because he couldn't maintain his blood sugar levels. So every 15 minutes or so, they would prick his foot, make it bleed, test his blood sugar levels. And that was the experience for like the first couple weeks of life. And so he was colic for probably the first couple of years, and colic being like he just cried all the time. He was just unhappy all the time. So he always had a pacifier in his mouth. And so the only things that we could really feed him were like mushy stuff, and because he had a pacifier in his mouth all the time, he didn't ever put toys in his mouth. There was just no texture. And so that translated into, now he's 4 or 5, trying to eat food with texture was really hard. Like if you ask him, the worst food he's ever tried is a kiwi. And that's because of the texture. It's because of the seeds. I know. And it's kind of like sour. And he just had so much trauma around that. I mean, he's 9 years old now, and he's starting to get into like just food that we eat, which is great. So he's getting over that texture. But our second, Arlo, he's almost 2 now. He puts everything in his mouth. Like he eats moths, he eats bugs, and we have to like pull them out of his mouth. And so his relationship with food is so different. Like we can feed him anything. Like he'll take the pouches, but he'll also eat just, pretty much whatever we get him. So it's absolutely, it's programming, and I think we've moved to where you are now, to where we are treating food much more like information and less like pleasure.
We made homemade pouches, like for the baby. Like we
awesome.
matched up, made our own fucking pouch things, from fresh shit. So I think it mattered. I'm sorry.
Totally.
For me, I'm a horrible picky eater. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Now a lot of this, like I don't eat vegetables anymore. There's some that I will eat, but it started because like I worked at McDonald's when I was 15. And I just made like an early vow, like I'm not going to eat any vegetables from fast food ever again. And then that quickly turned into like I'm not eating vegetables at a restaurant ever again. And then there was like E. coli outbreaks in the mid 2000s, and like, I don't know, fruit and everything. It just started to taste like it just got, like genetically gross. And you have to like go to the organic markets to get like the good shit and farmers. And I'm not about that. I ain't going to do it. But unfortunately, that passed on to my daughter very early, but I wasn't in the mindset like I am now to think about this stuff. But later on, what I ended up doing try to play a little psychology trick because I'm not gonna eat this shit. You know what I mean? Like, ain't no fucking way. I know baby got to eat them carrots, and she got to find a way to like them. So, went to some what do you want to call them? Peers of the daughter, some relatives who had some daughters in the teen age, who they ate everything, and he just introduced the kid to these older kids, and they're eating their chicken pot pie with the carrots and the peas, and my daughter's like, oh, I want to have some, and then she finds out she's eating carrots and oh, but it's good now because they're eating it, the cool kids are eating it.
Right.
Played that little psychology thing, and I'm not gonna say that's gonna work every time for every fucking individual, but
Let 'em grow food.
I was happy to that it did work out for my daughter, and she does diversify her fruits and vegetables now a little bit more. But when it comes to like the apples, though, that's literally why I'm trying to grow my own apples, because I can't sit here and buff off fucking floor wax from the apple before my daughter eats it anymore, or we have a thing going on the Wednesday show. Our other host, Tony, she's been showing us this apple that she got. She had actually, she just threw it away. But 3 weeks she was coming out showing us because it just wasn't breaking down. It's just like the weirdest fucking thing. Like they don't do it anymore because that's what they've been designed to do. Not brown, not deteriorate, taste like shit. And I don't want that. I don't fucking want that anymore. I'd rather grow my own fucking apple, be able to pluck it off the tree, take 2 bites of it because that's all I want, and then throw it for the deer. That's what I want to do. You gotta pay for that shit.
That's why
Speaking about,
go ahead, Cosmo. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. What'd you say? I interrupted.
No, I was saying that's why the future is a co-op. The future of mankind is co-ops. I can get into the petroleum coatings and why it's necessary, right? Because there's two sides of that story. But I'm gonna let you go. I'm sorry, I've been talking.
Well, I was gonna speak about your garden and your daughter going out there and just picking, the food out of the ground. So let's break that down for a second. That food is connected to the earth, which earth has a charge. Like there's all kinds of energy going into it. You can do I forget the name of the camera, but you can look at the energy of a fruit when it's ripely picked versus in the store, and it's like a light that's barely on versus just like Merlin's orb or something.
Sure.
Okay, so there's that aspect. There's energy, information coming from that food that's part of the ground, or even like animals ripely killed still has all that energy in it. That's why like hunters will eat the heart, essentially, like especially in old tribal traditions, to get that like power and that vitality. There's information there. Okay, but sorry, going back to the vegetables, like the garden, what's on those fruits and vegetables is microflora. There's all kinds of little beings, little bacteria from your environment that you should be in tune with, which is allergies. Every time the season changes, the earth is just trying to tell you to be in tune with her, and we're trying to fight that shit. But all that microflora is what feeds your guts, or it should feed your guts. So that builds our immune system too, and that's what gives you vitality. And so really, if we were all eating locally, we would be so much more in tune with our environment. We wouldn't get allergies, and our immune systems would be solid for where we're at. Because that's what you need. You need a solid immune system for where you live. When you travel, that's when everybody gets sick, because you move outside of your environment. You're not used to that microflora. We think it's like the flu and all this stuff, but it's really just your body is not used to being in that place. And so it doesn't have the defenses or the attunement to that place.
Jerry.
Hey, hang on. Let me talk on this microflora here, because there was this thing, and I'm sure it goes for all fucking shit when you go to camp or whatever. But in the Army, anytime you went to a new unit, or like when we first went to basic training, we got sent off to our next training station. It was basically literally called just barrack sickness, because you get in there and you have 60 different people that you're around that you've never met before. They're all from different regions, whatever. And now you're all breeding your juices, and your germs are all cross contaminating, and everybody's figuring it out. But the science behind it is once you go through it, you get your immune system broken down, and then if you're strong enough, you're gonna make it through. But if you ain't, see you later. Uh, but you do end up becoming stronger because of it, because you're now more exposed to the all the possibilities of existence, if you will. Um, but it was always fascinating. Like they really just they expected it. The superiors, they knew to 3 days in everybody's gonna get sick. So like just it's gonna be a low day. Just take it easy because it just is what it is.
But we got less child cold since we started doing the garden, right? Because your kids get sick more than you. So that
Mhm.
that factors in because there's a lot of times, especially when I'm doing the green beans, snap beans. It's not like we're rinsing all of those off before we eat them. We're just eating them, right? Because I know there's no chemicals on it. We can just eat it. But you're gonna brush the dirt off,
Mhm.
brush the bugs off, and eat it. So you're eating all that. And I was gonna say too, Dr. Jerry Tennant completely changed my life. I've made posts, I've sent videos, I've told people. I don't know if anyone has ever watched one of these lectures. 3 Januaries ago, I found Dr. Jerry Tennant, watched the lecture he gave to doctors and watched the lecture he gave to physics people, physics, scientists, physicists. I don't know what you call them, not
Physicists,
physicians, because that's a doctor.
physicists.
Physicist, and scientist. I watched both of those lectures. I think the one to physicists and scientists is easier to digest. I got shots in high school once a week for my sinuses and allergies. That's my wife. I used to get sick every fall, every spring, and sinus infections would be like 3 to 4 week ordeals till they were fully gone.
Oof.
And January, as I found Jerry Tennant, I might get sick once a year. I don't even
Nice.
know. I don't even know the last time I was honestly like sick for a week. I might get a day where you get that like, oh, I'm pre-sick, like the sore throat thing and the nose is a little runny,
Hmm.
and then I'm better than the next day. Now,
Hmm.
along with that, I talk to my body. My body heals everything in 3 days. Granted, the broken toe has taken a lot longer. I think that's a little more serious. But when I get like minor ailments or I get infections or I get sick, anything like that, 3 days, my body knocks it out. I've set that as a standard and I've talked to my body about it. I thank it for it. It does well with it, but I follow a lot of what Jerry Tennant teaches. And it completely changed everything about my life and my health. Everything.
For sure.
Food
I mean,
and
I
the
think, yeah, I think I'm the same. I don't know if I follow the same protocols that he has, but essentially it's like if you take care of your body, it'll be fine. I think we have this idea that we need medicine or we need pills all the time to fix us. We don't. In fact, working out is now being proven that it creates all the chemicals and pharmacy that you need to combat depression just in your body if you just
Yep.
move. And so, what I've learned through as probably as much research as you and just different exploration is just if you give your body what it needs, then it will never break down. I mean, you will die eventually because our telomeres, when our genes replicate, they get a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter. So there is like a ticking time bomb. It's not like you can unless you can regenerate those, which they're trying to.
1.5 atmospheric pressure.
So I want
I'm
to.
a Harvard professor.
Yeah,
I don't know if
You
this
know
is
about
a.
that? Cosmo's looking at me. He doesn't know about that. Go ahead, Brad.
I
We'll
don't
get back
know.
to
Yeah.
this.
I'm trying to say
We'll
was
get
a
back to that.
fucking a hot take. I think is what I want to say here. Hot take alert. Um, Depression is not a clinical lifelong disorder. Depression is a physiological response to you not doing shit with your life and your body trying to tell you you should probably get up and do something.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that.
I don't really know what it is that you need to be doing in your life, but your body's definitely telling you that you're not fulfilling yourself on this earth and you're just being a lazy piece of shit. And that's why you have depression because you're just, there's a lot to be depressed about when you're not doing shit. Get up, start doing shit. You'll probably feel better.
So
That's my.
I didn't start to do it because the baby's coming, but I magically have like some free clients, like friends of mine that all of a sudden ask questions, and now I'm like, all right, well, I'm attached to you now. And I told one of them today, he has like some body issues, self confidence, insecurities, and I've texted him last couple of mornings, and I told him today, body, mind, spirit, in that order. And there is something about doing that order with the body first that triggers the rest of them. It builds the discipline. It feeds
Hmm.
the hunger to have all of it. That the body first makes this like it makes the difference in routine, and you get the results fastest as far as how you're feeling. You might not lose the stomach fat, but you will see the tone in the arms, the tone in the legs, and you will feel your daily quality of life change the
Yeah.
fastest from that.
And if you give the full effort, I don't want to go kill yourself in the gym. But if you know, and you can leave that gym feeling like you've done everything that you could possibly do, there's nothing to even worry about. You can walk out with pride knowing that you're making a better tomorrow today. You ain't got to worry about the progress today. You just got to worry about you're going to be better off tomorrow because of what you did today. And that's the stuff you got to go, that little bit of adversity. um, I personally like to work out because it gives me that self pride, that self fulfillment. um, it's not that like I'm trying to be bigger, stronger so I can beat the shit out of people. It's I just want to be able to be 70 years old and be able to walk around, run around with my kid, maybe my grandkids.
Oh, enjoy the
um,
retirement.
That's
right.
right.
And I love weightlifting. But I just like that for physical strength, just keep the strength up. But as I get older, I'm learning a lot. It's about that flexibility, the ability to stay loose, fluid, just
Mobility.
the ability to preserve the muscle integrity through flexibility. um, and of course avoid fucking back pain. Like Jesus Christ, the hips, god damn that. I should have known in the 90s, man. I watched that Adam Sandler movie Happy Gilmore, and he was telling me back then it was all in the hips, all and my hips are tight now, and I'd be doing the
That's right.
rotations and twists, and it really is all in the hips. That's what the central
Well, your muscle,
location of everything.
they're piezoelectric. They generate electrons. Your cells need the electricity. You are electricity. And if you activate every part of you throughout the day, tightening the muscles in certain ways or different ways, whatever, you will get electricity to those cells. And over time, you will grow healthy fucking cells everywhere in your body. I used to not
Mhm.
be able to sit Indian style. The only red light I got in kindergarten was because I refused to sit Indian style because it hurt my hips. I've had issues with it my whole life. And when my baby was born, I would play on the floor, obviously, but like I'd sit sideways, I put my legs out, I have to lay down after a while. And over doing this process that I do, I can sit on the ground for 30, 40 minutes Indian style now. That was something I didn't
Nice.
think was ever going to be possible. And I'm talking about in my 20s, and I'm 37 now, and now I can sit Indian style and go play Elsa at the farm, Princess Barbie gymnastics, whatever the fuck it is that we do, and enjoy all of it.
Mm.
But it's electricity, it's healthy cells, and it's stretching, all that. That's the basis of it. But fucking Harvard professor,
You're right.
okay, he was a marine
The
biologist
telomeres.
professor. And you know about this with the
Maybe.
telomeres? So they did he had to do, I think it was 90 days in this undersea base, and it was
Hmm.
at 1.5 psi's, whatever. It was at 1.5 atmospheric pressure. And they did all of these health studies before and after. One of them was actually measuring the telomeres on their genes, right?
Hmm.
Because we know it used to be an epigenetic like mythical thing, because that comes from the Sumerian Anunnaki stories that they capped our telomeres.
Yeah. You're right.
Well, they actually measured them after 90 days at 1.5 psi's or psas, whatever. He de-aged by 10 years according to the length of the telomeres on his genes.
Meaning that they grew back.
They grew back. He gained 10 years of life.
Oh, interesting.
It's not like he changed a whole lot. It's not like his diet changed. His diet probably got shitty from being down there for 90 days.
Yeah.
But he de-aged 10 years after 90 days of 24 hours of being at 1.5 atmospheric pressures.
That makes sense. That makes sense, because I could tie that too to the stories of the Bible and Genesis, and talking about the firmament. And
Higher
so,
oxygen, more pressure.
right, more pressure, higher oxygen. You look at some of these canyons too; they look like tree trunks that have been severed, and now wood eventually turns into petrified wood, which is just rock, right? So that checks out to me, because you talk about all these old people in the Bible being like Methuselah being like 800 years old, Sumerian kings list where they reigned for thousands of years. Yeah, and you look at like a pterodactyl and something like that, physically with our atmosphere could not lift itself. Way too big, bone structure, everything. So,
but dragonflies in the Paleozoic and the other one, when the atmospheric pressure was higher and they know oxygen levels were higher, their wingspans were 3 feet
before the moon.
Massive.
before the moon.
Before the moon.
Sorry,
Well, no, but
curveball that in there.
the reality
That
about
probably changed it, dude. Yeah, probably did change it.
the Vedic scriptures talk about this. They talk about the galactic wars. Brahma's the god of destruction, but he's like the Godhead and the Trinity in there, right? Like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Brahma's the Father, but Brahma's also described as a weapon that could destroy planets. And Brahma was used and to destroy Tiamat. Tiamat's the same planet mentioned in the Sumerian text that was in our atmosphere. And what happened from that planet, according to both of those texts, you get the Kuiper Belt and you get the moon, and it was brought here and put into orbit. So it's the more and more you dig into fucking global mythology and global religions, the more and more they say the same things, and the more and more you got to hit a point where you go, maybe there's some reality in this, some truth in this.
Yep, and they all say the same thing. It's like there's so much evidence, it's like overwhelming. So I've enjoyed that aspect, and to me it's almost like a barometer for truth in a sense, where if multiple different things can corroborate the same thing without having context of each other, like traditions that are thousands of years old that developed completely isolated from other traditions that say the exact same thing. There's something,
we're 2 or 3 years away from 15-year-olds seeing an old video of Kanye and being like, that's not Kanye, that doesn't even look like him. But I'm just, we're almost there.
So when I was watching that Wild Not episode with Kanye, it's from season 1 of Wild Not, which was like 2004, maybe 2005.
Yeah, I was high school.
That's old.
Look, that Kanye is not the same as this Kanye that's today. Not even close to the same Kanye. He been cloned 6 times over, and I got it. Also, I have to admit, if he's not rapping on a sample track that was already edited and designed for him with lyrics pre-established by ghostwriters, Kanye West is trash. And I just okay, I digress.
Right? Maybe Kanye 3 was good at freestyles. But
which version? Yeah.
To your point about the isolated stories, this is the one that drove it home for me. This was, I'm not even gonna say years ago, but this is the one that drove it home for me. I was living here, so it was post 2019. Let's say 2020, 2021. The Aborigines and the Greeks. So we're separated by a little bit of time, and we're separated by a lot of space. They were not supposedly able to navigate, right? Okay. They both tell the story of the hunter in the sky, Orion, chasing after the 7 sisters, the Pleiades, in an attempt to have sexual relations with them, like in a very rapey story, that they ran away, and that the father god, Zeus, and the Greeks, I forget the name of the Aborigines, tried to protect them, and one of them got kidnapped. It's the same story. It is the same exact story. There's no fucking way. There's no way that they both looked up in the sky. They both saw the same idea. The only time I've ever experienced that is the one time I tripped really hard on acid, on LSD. I was with 4 friends. And we tripped fucking balls, dude. I mean, it was hardcore. We smoked a bunch of weed to set off the visuals. They went on a ride in the car. I stayed with my Moses staff, which was my guitar. Happy Days was on. Played a bunch of music with Fonzie, and then they came back. And what fascinated me the next day is, as we recounted these stories, we saw the same things to detail. To vivid detail. I remember They came back. We had a time where we did the Pink Floyd thing, listening to Dark Side of the Moon. We had this time where we were going inside and outside, and me and my partner smoked cigarettes. Actually, 3 of the 4 of us did. And there was probably like 20 to 30 half-smoked cigarettes by the door, because you'd have to go inside to pee or to get something. You put your cigarette down, you forget about it, you light a new one, right? Like, it was just kind of funny. And then after that, we came inside and we put on the Weather Channel, right? We're all kind of winding down. And I remember saying it that night that, like, whoa, do y'all see like the sun and the moon and the stars like on strings and all of this stuff? And they were like, oh yeah, man, oh yeah. And there's no proof in that, right? Because we're all fucking tripping. But the next day, I had to go get a driver's license. What's a driver's license renewal? I had to go do something and take a picture. I remember doing this. I went to Cane's. I checked the curb with my Jeep. I'm gonna get the picture taken, like, because my body's all still slow. We come back and I was like, hey, tell me things y'all saw, right? Because even back then I was very inquisitive. This is when I was learning how to lucid dream, and I achieved it back then, the same time frame, like literally that same year, because I was at the same apartment. And they all described the trees going up to a peak of the moon, and the moon was at the top of the tree by the pond outside. They all described every star was a shooting star. They all described the Weather Channel looking like puppety and having strings coming down, holding the stars and sun, and they were swinging side to side. And they all recounted the same visuals. And I think there's something to that, because we had an episode where we talked about how they're mapping the DMT world. They're mapping people seeing the same gods and goddesses and demons, having the same experiences, seeing the same places. And that it might just be access to the ethereal world, to the astral world, to the spiritual planes. And that can explain interdimensional beings coming, telling the same story, because they come through the same portals, the same places. That can tell them maybe they never communicated, but they went to these planes as shamans. They went to these planes on the drugs, and they saw the same things and told the same stories. But they were connected somehow. Somehow. And there's a lot of these tribal things talking about the sky, people telling them things that we prove to be true much later, like Sirius B with the Dogons, right? Like, there's a lot of those examples. And I'll shut up. I'm sorry, but those things are really fucking fascinating to me.
I love it.
I get
Brad,
it.
you got it, Brad?
I have no idea where to tailspin off that one.
OEO tailspin. OEA tailspin.
Well, I think this gets into the halls of Momente from earlier. What I've experienced, like, from DMT, that's the most powerful psychedelic that I've tried or experienced. It feels like a technology. Like, my experience of it was like very metallic in my body, and like your senses essentially just go away, which may be what autistic people, to some degree, like whatever that spectrum is, they can experience that. But my experience was that everything became more simple. It became geometry. It became like a kaleidoscope in a sense, but not static, all living, moving, flowing, just like water, like the ocean. But to me, that experience was like, it was very apparent, like there's so many different modalities that we're just not aware of or can't tune into. And when you're introducing those chemicals or that chemia into your body, that's changing the way that your mind relates to the body, and so you can experience different things. That's why people that are like manic or in these psychotic breaks, they think they're God, because they move beyond the body in a lot of sense. So they are God. We just see them as this like crazy naked person running around, but their experience is like oneness, And so I find that stuff so fascinating. And my experience too is that it's all about the setting as well, like your mindset setting. So I think your experience with your friends, you guys were so in sync with each other and partook in a similar way that I think quantumly probably got entangled in that moment with that medicine, with that consciousness, and therefore you guys all saw the same things. But yeah, I think we're starting to just tap into that, and that's why I'm excited. It's becoming legal, across the states and various places. Because psychedelics are so good, I think, for healing us. If you look at like what mushrooms do for a forest or with the plants around them. They connect everything. They're a neural network, and so all these plants can actually communicate to each other. They can send resources and all these different things. So
All
yeah.
right. We're 10:55. Time has flown the fuck by tonight.
Yeah, the second hour. Whew.
Brad, we'll do some wrap up stuff. What you got, Brad?
Oh man,
What
uh,
matters?
I'll take the time to remind the folks that this show is proud to be brought to you by the good folks at High Nine. You can get them at most liquor stores now nationwide, and if they don't have them where the CBD drinks are, just go ahead and start requesting that High Nine gets put in their stores also. Otherwise, you should be able to see them at pretty much like all the ABC liquors, things like that. Um, Nevertheless, and check out the good people at Das Filter Glass Station for all your smoking accessories. We appreciate their support as well. And this show is also brought to you by the good folks at Grower Coalition. Now, normally we'd have those pop ups coming up there because like we'd have a producer or like somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing.
Not this good.
Not a fucking clue. I'm just here to say some dumb shit, smoke some weed, and hopefully, be entertaining sometimes. I don't think I accomplish any of that. And I have no idea how to control this backstage shit. So, like, we're not getting any of that done. But it's been a, been a good time tonight. Um, I think, I don't know, shit, going all the way back to the pyramid stuff, I don't want to offend any cultures or things like that, but I think that we need to get some answers. We need to start doing the digging archaeologically, so that we can stop the guessing. Because I think it's offensive that a bunch of white people came 2,000 years after the last known people who may have had any semi understanding of what these pyramids were or when they were constructed. We just came in and said, this is what happened, and we know that because fuck you. That's why, and I don't think that's cool. We should probably get some other fucking understanding, and if that comes from excavation, where there things may get damaged, hopefully not. I think we should find out at least the tip of the iceberg, or like we should get a little bit underneath that sand and find out what's going on under there. Um, I don't know if it's a power plant that we can utilize or understand, but we should definitely know where we came from on this planet. So maybe we can have a better idea of where we're going. And I don't know. When it comes to all the cloning and shit, I just hope they ain't cloning me. Fuck hell.
We don't need two of them.
That's all I got.
Cosmo, what matters to you, bro? What's on your mind as we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I like that. I like what Brad said. I think knowing who we are makes us remember that we're all connected and we're not different. And so I think that's the real power in this, is hopefully if we get more answers, if we're able to realize like we're all the same, come from the same place, and we need to take care of this place, be an alpha male. Really like that too. It's a good takeaway. Take care of your kingdom, your community, be involved. I think that's how everything gets better, and we will hopefully see less negativity, especially on social media, which maybe that will never happen. So maybe we just need to say goodbye to social media and have our own social media, right? But I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I learned a lot, and it was cool just hanging out.
It's a good conversation.
Mm.
Want to say my teeth used to be really yellow, and I switched to non-fluoride toothpaste, and all of a sudden they're getting whiter. It's crazy.
Whoa, you doing that baking soda and hydrogen peroxide or what?
Oh, this is it's a yellow tube. I don't know. I don't know the name
Mm.
of it. I don't remember. But it's
You
like a
just need,
charcoal. It's a charcoal
yeah,
natural based thing. There's like three
Oh, the
ingredients.
charcoal stuff. That's
It's
good
like
stuff
three
too.
ingredients though. And my teeth
Sure.
are actually
xylitol.
I'm a smoker since I was 18. I'm 37. Do the math. Right. Kind of fascinating. I I hope that we help people question things. I hope that we help people think differently. And I hope that, part of me because Brad probably knows this. I didn't want to go to a live stream under a different brand. I didn't want to do that. You know, I didn't want to come under higher values 420. I'm not a stoner. And but I've realized that this is a different audience. With some of my audiences here, you know, I'm somebody. I'm not a big person.
Yeah.
But I think we get to present things to an audience, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, looking pretty like Cosmo, as normal people, to people that don't get that from people that look and act like them. And I think that matters, because I think that I mean, I'll view it like this because I'm part of it. I think the middle class and the lower class doesn't get that. You see people that are a little more high on their horse talking about things and talking down a lot, and we're not doing that, but we're bringing the same information. We're bringing it in a different way, and I think it's valuable. If 5 people have different thoughts after us doing this show for 5 months, that is a global changing type thing. It matters,
Right.
because that's 5 families that are going to question things and change what they're doing. You got to
And
change it like me. I don't give a fuck. It's
man,
your life.
we don't know how that butterfly effect even it takes off, because like 3, 5 people, you know, they start interacting differently, questioning things, and then that
They
trickulates
got
down,
friends.
you know, to some other people, you know, who start just, well, wait a minute, and then you get somebody, well, wait a minute, and all you have to do is just, you know, when you're in the grocery store at your local town, you just pop a little tidbit in there, you know, a community issue that you already know is going on. Like, you can be like, you know, why do we have all these wonderful police, you know, vehicles, and they're getting all this funding, but we can't even fix the potholes? You know, like, isn't that something? You know, you sprinkle like those
It's
little
smart.
things here and there, and like eventually people are gonna be like, that is
You'll
something.
you'll notice, again, as a smoker, I have a lot of conversations in smoking places. You'll notice questions change as you learn things, and you'll notice opportunities where you need to say something, and it turns into really beautiful moments. And you'll experience it if you want to, if you want to dive into that. And that's why we're here. That's a big thing why we're here.
Hmm.
Tonight was awesome. We talked about a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't even think it was really what we wanted to get into, but it's what we needed to get into.
Yeah.
Um, Also, Cosmo, are you busy tomorrow in the morning ish, like between 9 and 1?
Mm, I think so. I think I have some meetings, but what's going on?
When you have some time, maybe we'll do this Thursday. Um, I really, I did some weird shit yesterday.
Oh,
I did some weird meditational, energetic shit, and it had effects yesterday and today. And my interactions with people have been shifting dramatically. I want to talk to you about it.
okay. Yeah, I'll make time.
Just
That
want to
sounds
throw that
good.
out there while we're here. There's only like 2 people watching anyway.
But you went like Super Saiyan and shit.
I can call you. You ain't doing shit in the morning while I'm free. I'll call you and Oh, interesting stuff though.
So,
Explore beyond what you think reality is. I'll say that to the people.
Yeah, I will say I've done some meditation stuff that has made me question a lot of my consciousness, my perspective, what reality is, the energy field of our existence. And a lot of times I just like to ignore it because like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, just rather live in life, you know, where everything's fucked up, chaotic, and I hate myself. You know,
No,
but
lean in and be crazy for the day, bro. See what happens.
anyway, let's get out of here. I'm
see
gonna fuck
Crimson.
this up. We're probably just gonna cut the stream because I don't know how to push the right
It's just
fucking
gonna go
button.
black.
We're gonna see what
Thank you
happens
all.
here.
Thank everybody
Pull
for
the
any
plug.
second that you spend time with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we came up from the bottom, now we top tier. Brendo and Cashman, everyone give a cheer. Higher values in the game, we're the pioneers. Speaking loud, raising high, forget all the fear. Yeah, this is the moment. We let the world know values that matter. Let the truth flow. Randall and Cash, man, we rise and we thrive. With higher values, we keep the vibe alive. Tune into the truth, let the wisdom arrive. In the heart of the South, watch our dreams collide. Every episode hitting like we just dropped heat. From the streets to the booth, hear the rhythm and beat. Discussions ignite, in the zone we compete. Connecting with the fan, feel that community heat. We keep it real, never play pretend. This journey of ours will never end. Randall and Cash, man, we rise and we thrive. With higher values, we keep the vibe alive. Tune into the truth, let the wisdom arrive. In the heart of the South, watch our dreams collide. Every episode hitting like we just dropped heat. From the streets to the booth, hear the rhythm and beat. Discussions ignite, in the zone we compete. Connecting with the fan, feel that community heat. We keep it real, never play pretend. This journey of ours will never end. From the mic to the world, we uplift and inspire. Thanks for riding with us, let's take it higher.